Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westband Cable Channel 12, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, March the 12th, 2021. And on the front page of this week's edition is a big picture. It's titled, "The Signs They Are A-Changin'." A project that's been on the town of Neepawa's to-do list for the past few years has now been completed. The refurbishment of the Civic Administrative Office at 275 Hamilton Street was completed on Sunday, March the 7th, with the installation of new signage. The renovation of the building's exterior began last fall with the refacing of the facade. That work was completed by Finney Stucco and Design. As for the new sign, right here, several companies bid on the project, but it was ultimately constructed by Dundee Designs, based out of Alexander, Manitoba. Very nice. And a big article about Rotary. Frontline workers recognized by local Rotary Club. Pictured above from left, Nipawin Rotarian President Wayne Jacobsen, Country Meadows Personal Care Home staff Rochelle Unico, who is the Client Care Coordinator, Kendra Wark, the Care Team Manager, Danielle Barilla, the Nutrition Services Supervisor, Pam Goulet, Director Health Care Services for Long-Term Care at the Prairie Mountain Health Center, Marcia Forg, who is the Activity Supervisor, Rinaldo Sedimona, housekeeping staff, Donovan Chambers, maintenance staff, and Dana Menzies, program assist. One of the Rotary Club's most prestigious awards has been presented to several frontline workers in Neepawa. Every year, local Rotary clubs will present the Paul Harris Fellow Award to individuals who have made significant contributions to their community. This year, however, the criteria changed slightly to recognize those who have been helping to keep the community safe amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The Neepawa Rotary Club selected 2 recipients for the Paul Harris Fellow Award in the community this year. Heather Toderick, owner and operator of Harris Pharmacy, who's seen in this picture right here, and the entire staff at Country Meadows Personal Care Home were presented with the award, which includes a certificate, a pin, and $1,000 US donated in the recipients' names to Rotary International Programming. Neepawa Rotary member and President Wayne Jacobsen presented the award to both Toderick and the community members, and the Country Meadows staff. Heather and her team here at Harris Pharmacy have gone above and beyond the call of duty in order to keep all of us safe, Jacobsen stated. On behalf of the Rotary Club, Heather, thank you very much for your service and for keeping us all safe. Toderick noted that she was very grateful to receive this recognition, but was quick to share the credit with other frontline workers. I'd really like to thank the Rotary Club for recognizing myself But it's not just myself that is involved in this pandemic and this year as frontline workers, she expressed, listing off workers from grocery to hospital to truck drivers and more who have been working throughout this pandemic. She said it's an endless list of people who have done things that they never thought they would ever do in their lifetime. But they have, and they've stepped up and they've accomplished things that kept us safe. I'm honored that I have been recognized, but I think that there are so many people in our community and all over the country that deserve recognition. When making the presentation at the care home, Jacobsen stated, "It became quite apparent that the people here at Country Meadows have done an absolutely outstanding job in keeping probably the most vulnerable sector of our community safe." He added there has not been one case of COVID-19 here at the facility, and I think that is outstanding, and it's a testament to the effort that every one of you have put in to keep our elderly population safe. Kendra Wark, the care team manager at Country Meadows, stated that a member of every department in the care home was invited to come and accept the award on the whole staff's behalf, because it has been a team effort by everyone at the facility, from maintenance to housekeeping to dietary to activities to the nurses and healthcare aides and everyone in between. To be honest, this place would not have been so successful without the leadership that we've had here and all the dedicated staff. We've had many challenges, but we have overcome them so far. So thank you very much. It's nice to be recognized, she expressed. And thank you to the community and all the families and caregivers too that come and have supported us this past year. On the travel and entertainment section, this is entitled Autism Fundraiser on its way to a fairy tale ending by Owen Devereaux. An international fundraiser with local roots appears to be on its way to be a happily ever after. In the February 19th edition of the Banner and Press, we shared details on a collective of best-selling and award-winning authors pooling their resources to help children with autism. All funds from the venture, known as Enchanted Kingdoms, are being donated to Puzzle Piece United, a New Jersey-based charity that supports children with autism and their families. Since the publication of the box set on February 23rd, $3,069 American has been raised for Puzzle Piece, enough money to pay for 2 years' worth of activities for the children and some respite care for their families. The box set itself has also charted the USA Today bestsellers list at number 110. The USA Today list is considered a significant achievement in the publishing world. Gladstone's J.A. Armitage and Rhiannon Parks of Enchanted Quill Press, who are helping to lead this effort, said they are delighted to have achieved this much so far. They are confident, however, that this is just the beginning. Now that the book is available in the Amazon subscription service called Kindle Unlimited, we should see that total rise to at least double by the time the limited edition box set ends in June, stated Parks. The kids in New Jersey who will be benefiting from the money raised have struggled immensely during the pandemic. They haven't been able to receive the support and activities that they usually would have had, so this extra funding will help make their activities all the more special once their local health authority allows it. As for landing on the USA Today list, Parks said that they are thrilled with the achievement. Hitting USA Today list is the top 150 books sold in the whole of the United States in any particular week. To see our names next to George R.R. Martin and Danielle Steele on that list was an achievement we never thought possible. We hit the list at number 110, something we feel very proud of, especially since we were competing against another 52,500 books that were released during the same week as we launched. For a small local press company to have done this, along with gaining many other accolades during that week, we are thrilled with the achievement. Enchanted Kingdoms is available for order on Amazon, iBooks, Barnes & Noble, and most digital stores at books2read.com/enchantedkingdoms. And this is a picture of Rianne Parks and J.A. Harmitich of Gladstone-based publishing company Enchanted Quill Press. They were involved in the Autism Fundraiser selling box sets of the Enchanted Kingdoms series. And Helen Drysdale, out of Helen's Kitchen. This week's edition is entitled Manitoba Bison. Bison decorate Manitoba's flag, the coat of arms, and are the symbol that is used to represent the provincial government. In years past, bisons were the Indigenous people's essential food source, as well as providing shelter, clothing, tools, and more. No part of the bison was wasted. The fur traders valued the bison for their meat, pemmican, and hides. The new settlers desired the land the bison lived on, and hunts were organized on a large scale, many of them for the mere pleasure of the kill. The carcasses were left to rot. With the development of a new hide tanning process in Europe, bison hides were in great demand. Hunters killed thousands of bison for their hides only. At first, the supply of animals seemed inexhaustible. In 1893, as bison numbers declined rapidly, the Canadian government outlawed the killing of bison, but that law was poorly enforced. Eventually, tons of bleached bones littered the prairie. The settlers began collecting the bones, and they were shipped east to be used in fertilizer, chinaware, and in the process of refining sugar. By the late 1800s, the animals were all but wiped off the continent. In 1873 and 74, two concerned Manitobans near modern-day Winnipeg, named Charles Alloway and James McKay, traveled to Saskatchewan to capture buffalo calves. When McKay died, Alloway sold the animals to Sam Bedson. The bison multiplied rapidly to over 100 head by 1888. Because of the settler influx, Bedson was forced to sell his bison. Some went to the States, some to Donald Smith, later known as Lord Strathcona, who donated most to Banff National Park, and some eventually went to the Assiniboine Park Zoo. The park was partly established to give these animals a home, and their descendants are still there today. In the early 1870s, Sam Walking Coyote captured some bison calves in Canada's southern prairie. He herded these back to his reserve in Montana, where the herd grew. Some were sold to two Métis named Charles Allard and Michael Pablo. By 1906, the Allard-Pablo herd numbered close to 800, and they were being forced to sell to make room for the new settlers coming in. They offered to sell some to the USA government, who wanted to pay only $15 a head. The Canadian government happily purchased over 600 head at the price of $245 each. It took several years to round up those wily bison who, with great difficulty, were driven into corrals and loaded on reinforced freight cars. Their new home was to be at Wood Buffalo National Park, northeastern Alberta and the Northwest Territories. It was not yet fenced and not near a train station, so the bison went to Elk Island National Park, which is 30 kilometers east of Edmonton, which was fenced for elk and near a railway station. When Wood Buffalo National Park was ready, most of the herd went to this facility. With 4.5 million hectares, it is the largest park in Canada. It is now designated UNESCO World Heritage Site and home to the largest free-roaming bison herd in the world. Close to us is the Lake Audie bison enclosure at Riding Mountain National Park, which holds a herd of approximately 40 bison. When the number of bison in these park herds expand beyond the park capacity, they are offered for sale to ranchers in Western Canada. Today in Manitoba, over 50 commercial producers raise bison, supplying the market with delicious meat products. The nutritional content of bison is impressive, and it is low in fat. And she provides 2 recipes, one called Burgundy bison meatballs and the other bison pot roast, Hungarian style. Next is the Spruce Plains RCMP report from March 1st to March 7th, 2021 by Corporal Jacob Stanton, Spruce Plains RCMP. During the week of this week, the RCMP dealt with 56 police activities. March 1st, RCMP received a report of identity fraud in the RM of Oakview, where there was insufficient evidence to produce further. Police conducted proactive traffic enforcement, engaging with several motorists. March 2nd, RCMP responded to 2 suspicious person reports, one in Gladstone and one in Nipawin. Patrols were made for both reports, but the suspects could not be located. Police responded to a family dispute in Nipawin, and the matter is still under investigation. On March the 3rd, RCMP responded to a 2-vehicle motor collision in the RM of Oakview. Both vehicles were totaled, but there were no reported injuries. Police received a report of threats being uttered in Minnedosa, and that matter is still under investigation. Police were alerted of a commercial alarm set off in the RM of Oakview, which was cancelled by the property rep shortly after. On March 4th, RCMP received a report of harassing communications in Nipawin, which was later deemed to be unfounded. Police received 2 reports of attempted frauds of an ongoing phone scam in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. No personal information was divulged to the scammers, but were reported for awareness. Police responded to a report of voyeurism in Nipawin. After investigation, it was determined that the claim was unfounded. On March 5th, RCMP received a report of a break-and-enter on a property in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. After investigation, it was determined that there was insufficient evidence to produce further. Police responded to a report of an out-of-control fire on a property in the RM of Oakview. Police attended and found the fire being controlled. March the 6th, RCMP conducted various traffic enforcement, ticketing numerous drivers who were found speeding. Police received a report of mischief in the municipality of Glenelg, Lansdowne, where a vehicle was vandalized. There was insufficient evidence to proceed further. On March 7th, RCMP received a report of a suspicious person in the RM of Rosedale. While patrolling the area for the person, police noticed an unrelated suspicious vehicle and engaged a traffic stop. The driver was found to be impaired and was arrested and charged accordingly. RCMP conducted 25 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. And on to the Carberry North Cypress Langford section. The community profile this week is on a young lady named Katie Mendel. She is 17 and is a grade 12 honor roll student at Carberry Collegiate who plans to graduate with distinction. Her present semester load is heavy with biology, physics, 2 mathematics, which are applied and advanced, plus completing her physical education credit. She played the flute in the senior band until this year. Active in school sports, in grade 10 she partnered with Cassie Serrar to win the zone girls badminton doubles and advance to the provincials in Winkler. Katie is a member of the school running club with Mr. Clark and participates in track and field through long jump, triple jump, 200 meters, and medley relay. She is a member of the school social committee and plans to continue her education at Brandon University. People who have influenced her life are her parents, Thelma and Joe, and her teachers. Canadian Mixed Doubles Curling Championship Report by Gladwin Scott. The 2021 Canadian Mixed Doubles Curling Championship will be held in Calgary's Markin McPhail Centre from March 18th to the 25th. The field will include 35 teams divided into 5 pools. The teams include 14 provincial and territory representatives and another 14 pairs based on Curling Canada's rankings. The other 7 rinks were based on rankings with their 4-person teams. Many of the top Canadian curlers will vie for the first prize of $50,000. Brad Gushu and Carrie Einerson, Jennifer Jones and husband Brett Lang, and 2-time national mixed champions Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant are some of the rinks entered in the Home Hardware sponsored event. The top dozen rinks will qualify for the playoffs after round-robin play. Carberry's Derek Samilgalski and Kristen Karwacki of Winnipeg are the Team Manitoba representatives. And Gladwin Scott has his Here and There article. Carberry schools will be hosting several student teachers in the next few weeks. Ty Dixon, Ocean Edwards, Lexi Hacko, Josh McMillan, and Kelly Rintoul of Carberry Collegiate, and Amanda Walker of RJ Wow. After a 33-year teaching degree, Dixie Friesen is planning to retire in June, and Lori Robson will move from grade 1 to kindergarten, stated Principal Dana Galatiak. Congratulations to Tom and Zach Yando of Plumas, Nicole Madsen of Hamiota, and Bonnie Soper of Gladstone, who are the new owners of Neepawa's Chicken Corral, effective April 1st. They will rename the popular restaurant Chicken Chef and will open mid-April after renovations. Best wishes to editor Ken Waddell for a safe and speedy recovery in the Brandon General Hospital. Note, Ken was in hospital for 5 days and is now back at the office. In a telephone interview on March the 3rd with 16-year-old Carberry Collegiate student Ben Saunderson, he was eating supper in his University of Regina dormitory with 3 teammates. He is a young Saskatoon Blades defenseman who is preparing for the WHL 24-game schedule. 7 teams from Regina, Prince Albert, Moose Jaw, Swift Current, Saskatoon, Brandon, and Winnipeg will play 1 game every second day for the next 48 days. Games will be televised if you purchase a WHL plan and are played daily at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Brandon opens against Moose Jaw March the 12th, and Saskatoon's opener is March 13th. Saunderson continues his studies online and has been in Saskatoon since February the 12th. They bused to Regina Saturday, February 27th and are being tested weekly for COVID-19. The government has announced that the Manitoba Learning Resource Centre in Souris, formerly known as the Manitoba Textbook Bureau, will close in June 2021. 5 people were employed by the centre. The 150 Manitoba Women Trailblazer Awards, co-sponsored by the Nellie McClung Foundation and the Winnipeg Free Press, were recently announced. Bette Mueller of Manitou, sister-in-law of Pat and Marie Angers, was nominated in the individual category, and the Nellie McClung Foundation was nominated in the group category. Women's right to vote in 1922 was pioneered by Nellie McClung. And a correction from Gladwin's February 26th article. Keith Gopher Loney was nominated for the 150 Manitoba Volunteer Award by the Carberry North Cypress Langford 150 Manitoba Committee. And his last article is entitled Einerson Repeats in 2021 Scotties. 2020 Canadian Women's Curling Champions skip Carrie Einerson, Val Sweeting, Shannon Burchard, and Brianne Mueller edged Ontario's Rachel Holman 9-7 in the finals of the Scotties in Calgary, February 28th. Manitoba was represented by 5 rinks this year, including 3 wild cards, Tracy Fleury, Mackenzie Zacharias, and Beth Peterson. Several of these rinks will be at the next Manitoba Scotties in Carberry, December 14th, 2021. It was a good draw as all rinks curled 8 games in the round robin, and the top 4 teams in each pool advanced to the playoffs. Jennifer Jones, the Manitoba rep, set a new record with 153 Scotties victories before eventually losing an 8-7 tiebreaker to Alberta's Laura Walker. Sandra Schmerler Day was held Sunday, February 21st, and was about $700,000 was raised for neonatal equipment in 60 Canadian hospitals. And reliable sources have Nipawin hosting the 2023 Viterra Manitoba Men's Curling Championship. Derek Samagalski is curling second for Mike McEwen at the 18 Rink Brier in Calgary, March 5th to 11th. They are one of the 3 wild card rinks. Curling fans will be in their glory over the next few weeks. And okay. Next article. This one is by Kira Patterson of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Pre-kindergarten program cancelled at Turtle River School Division. Kindergartners to be at Turtle River School Division will have to wait a little longer before getting the chance to check out their future classrooms. The division's annual Kindergarten Here I Come program, normally held in April, has been canceled this year due to the pandemic. Kindergarten Here I Come, or KHIC, is a special early years program that Turtle River first developed over a decade ago, says Superintendent Bev Semesco. We offer students in our division the equivalent of 10 full days of learning at school prior to entering kindergarten. She noted that the program gives pre-kindergartners the chance to get acquainted with their school, their classrooms, and their teachers. We have found that the sooner we can get students in our building, the greater the success they will have in school. She explained that this program is meant as a complement to daycare or nursery school programs, as well as kids who haven't been in other programs grow socially before starting kindergarten in the fall. The cancellation was announced by the division on March the 3rd. As Manitoba public health regulations regarding the spread of COVID-19 continually change and cause uncertainty to rules and scheduling, it is simply not sensible to run this limited time frame program. The time that students would be in this 10-day program would be monopolized with implementing safety precautions and cancellations. Additionally, our instructors would be placing themselves, as well as all of our families and students, at risk by moving between communities and schools, potentially spreading the virus. It is really unfortunate and disappointing that we have had to suspend the KHIC program this year, but we look forward to it continuing again next year, anticipating some normalcy to return by April 2022. Alonza Go-Getters 4-H Club Update by Eloise Good. Hello everyone, this is Eloise Good reporting for the Alonza Go-Getters 4-H Club. We had an organization meeting in October. It was decided that there would be 3 different projects: beef, canine, and trapping. We decided on our executive, President Coulter Sherpin, Vice President Emily Turco, Secretary Sheridan Sherpin, Treasurer Ella Davis, E-Zine Scanner Riley Gamble, News Reporter Eloise Good, Beef Leader Lindsay Sherpin, Trapping Leader Cam Anger, Canine Leader Sherry Gamble. Due to the pandemic, all of our meetings will be done virtually. We had our speeches virtually, and Coulter Sherpin came in first for juniors. Emily Turco was first for the Cloverbuds. They will be competing at provincials later this spring. Good luck to you all. And the Neepawa Town Council report, March 2nd, 2021, by Owen Devereaux. A new 36 apartment complex planned for Neepawa has received approval on a few amendments to its plan. The 5-story complex, 4 above ground and 1 below, will, but facing outward on the hill, proposed for the intersection of Mountain Avenue and Cameron Street, has been given permission to increase the maximum height of the building from 45 to 50 feet. As well, the setback for the north and south boundary of the property will be altered from 15 feet to 4 feet 10 inches. Lastly, the number of required parking stalls has been reduced from 54 stalls to a proposed 40 stalls. 43 stalls in total, with 3 required to be allocated to existing commercial use. The project applicant, named Foresight Real Estate Limited, brought the request forward to Town Council on Tuesday, March the 2nd. Councillors had a few questions, including the potential impact the changes could have on water drainage in the area, especially during construction. They also wanted clarification on standard sidewalks around the facility. Administration informed Council that both issues have been looked at. The town has consulted with the drainage consultant. There are also plans in this year's budget to deal with all hillside concerns, including those of homeowners on the east side of Cameron Street, located at the bottom of the hill. The requested changes to the plan were approved by Council later on in the meeting. Vacant lot on Main Street. A homeowner on Main Street has brought up concerns about the state of a vacant lot near their property. They expressed frustration over the lack of work done over the last few years and the amount of thistle growth that occurs on the property. The vacant lot title holder informed the homeowner in a previous conversation that they were waiting for installation of water and sewer before starting any type of development. At the meeting on March 2nd, Council told the property owner that the town was still waiting for a plan of proceeding from the lot owner so that they could then commit to infrastructure. They also noted that because the lot is privately owned, there is not much they can do within the town's bylaws to facilitate action. As for the issues with thistle growth, administration noted that the records indicate the lot owner had trimmed the weeds and the grass a few times last year. They asked the nearby property owner to inform them quickly if issues occurred this year, and they would notify the lot owner that maintenance of the property is required. And a few miscellaneous things they talked about at the meeting. Another lot on the former CN property has been sold, as lot 9 has been purchased for the sale price of $45,000. There are currently just 5 lots still available. Also, a subdivision of land on 4.4 acres of Gill Drive has been approved. The decision effectively creates 3 separate parcels moving forward. And lastly, 2 separate agreements have been approved for the control of nuisance birds and beavers for the year ahead. Chad Campbell will look after the humane trapping of nuisance beavers with the municipality, while Jake Birch and Danny Nugent will be in charge of looking after the situation with nuisance birds. And 2 locals recognized at Brandon University for Women's Week by Kira Patterson. Brandon University, BU, celebrated Women's Week by recognizing 17 outstanding female students enrolled at the university. 2 of those women have roots in Nipawin. The university's Status of Women Review Committee, or SWRC, received nominations from faculty and staff members and announced their chosen group on Friday, March 5th. Kaylin McDermott, pictured here on the left, and Cassia Hollier, pictured here on the right, were the two locals on the list. They graduated from Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute in 2016 and 17, respectively, and both went on to Brandon University. Both were heavily involved in high school activities while in Neepawa and have continued that trend at BU. McDermott is in her 5th and final year at BU, taking a concurrent Bachelor of Music and Bachelor of Education program. With her degree, she hopes to become a music teacher in Manitoba and eventually further her education with a master's. McDermott's nominator, Dr. Wendy McCallum, one of her professors at the BU School of Music, wrote of the contributions she has made during her time at the university. Kaylin is an outstanding student in the Joint Department of Music Education, McCallum wrote. She noted that since the pandemic started, McDermott volunteered to help develop instructional plans for music educators in Western Manitoba. She is also a past president of the Brandon University Student Music Educators Association, BUSMEA. Kaylin's contributed to this success with her servant leadership. She has been an invaluable member of instrumental and choral ensembles in the School of Music and belongs to the Westman Choir Connectus. Kaylin's organization, work ethic, and growth mindset are keystone traits. It's such an honor to be recognized for all the hard work I've done throughout my degree, McDermott expressed. When I got the email indicating that Dr. McCallum had nominated me for this, I was surprised. I'm in my last week of classes right now before I go off student teaching, and it's such a bittersweet way to end my 5 years at Brandon University. Reading through the achievements of all the other women makes me really proud to be a student at BU. BU has so many inspiring women professors and is clearly a place where women can thrive in any field of study. Cassia Hollier is finishing off her education at BU this year as well, currently in her 4th year. She is taking her honors degree in psychology with a minor in English, with plans to take her master's in psychology from the University of Manitoba. After that, she hopes to get a job in rural Manitoba as a school psychologist. Dr. Nootke Edgar, Hollier's thesis advisor, nominated her for the Outstanding Women of 2021 recognition. Cassia is a hard-working young woman trying to make the world a better place for all by not only helping fellow students, but the community at large by her volunteer work. Dr. Edgar wrote in the nomination, noting that Hollier has been involved in the BU Psychology Club and volunteered her time to help with other students learning new skills. She has been involved with the Nipawin community since high school in several ways. One of the most recent ones is assisting the school psychologist in the Beautiful Plains School Division, as well as helping in all the community events, among others. Hollier stated that being recognized in this way has been an honoring and humbling experience. I felt so honored when I was informed by the Brandon University SWRC that my thesis advisor, Dr. Edgar, had nominated me for an International Women's Day Award. I am so grateful to have been able to work closely with a professor who takes the time to truly get to know her students and advocate for them in any way that she can. I've been very lucky to be a student at BU with professors like Dr. Edgar, who cares so much about their students. I am just so humbled by my nomination. Brandon University normally holds a reception to celebrate the outstanding female students every year, but because of the pandemic, they have turned their focus to promoting Women's Week online. Profiles with more details about McDermott and Hollier, as well as the other 15 students, can be found on BU's website at brandonu.ca/Women's Week. Now here's a picture of some people from Victoria Quilts. Victoria Quilts Canada Neepawa chapter says thank you to the community. They received a most heartening response to the 2021 fundraising effort. In place of their annual Irish Stew St. Patrick's Day fundraiser, the group sent out order forms for frozen pizzas from Rosie's Pizza of Laurier. Rosie's produced 621 pizzas. This is the largest single fundraiser she has supplied to date. Pictured here are Audrey Heffel, Jacqueline Olmsted, and Susan Phillips, who are part of the organization/delivery team March the 10th at the beautiful Plains County Court parking lot. Other volunteers were busy with delivering in the area. The next article is about a business that's still locally owned and still locally operated by Owen Devereaux. While it'll be under a new name in April, the owners and operators of the soon-to-be former Chicken Corral are telling the public not to be too worried about any radical changes. On Tuesday, March the 2nd, via Chicken Chef's social media page, it was announced that a group of investors had purchased the Chicken Corral building in Nipawin. The new owners would be rebranding the restaurant under the Chicken Chef banner and begin operation of the business on April the 1st. Plumus's Tom Yando, his son Zach, and Bonnie Soper from Gladstone, and Nicole Madsen of Hamiota are the partnership group that will be taking over the restaurant. Tom Yando, speaking on behalf of the new owners, explains the mindset behind the purchase. Well, we like chicken, so that was a big reason, he noted with a chuckle. We had interest in investing locally. We think the market has potential. We looked into the former Chicken Delight building at first. We also thought about a new building on the CN grounds there. We were in fact about to buy a lot when the opportunity with Chicken Corral came to our attention. Yando said the timing of the Chicken Corral coming onto the market at this point in time was simply too perfect to ignore. Yando noted to the Banner Press that unlike other restaurant franchises, the independent owners are allowed a fair amount of leeway on the menu. There is a core menu that every chicken chef has to ensure consistency, but we were also allowed to add items that we think would be popular with the customers. Head office is pretty open about what we can do, and we do have a few plans. We plan on doing perhaps once a month a steak night, for example, as a fundraiser for a local group. Things like Minor Ball or the Gun Club, for example. So we have some free rein on stuff like that. As for the employees, Yando noted that they have reached out to everyone who was a part of the business before COVID-19, restricted in-restaurant dining, and said they're welcome to return if they so desire. The whole staff will be coming back, so we've talked to everyone. They've all been promised their jobs if they want them. It just depends if some of them moved on during the COVID thing. But they're all welcome to come back to start with us for sure, noted Yando. In closing, Yando was adamant that the new ownership was very much looking forward to remaining a community-oriented business. The franchise shift over to the Chicken Chefs currently scheduled for April the 1st. Very good. Now on sports page, Nipawin natives cash draw able to succeed amid COVID precautions. The grand prize winners of the Nipawin natives annual cash draw is likely not the only ones who are happy with this year's end result. The 2021 edition of the lottery was held on Saturday, March 6th at the NACTV studio. For this year, the annual event, which raises funds for the ongoing operation of the Junior A Hockey Club, saw an 18% increase in total sales compared to 2020. Head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said seeing an increase in support like this, especially during these times, was fantastic. Pearson added that the restrictions related to COVID-19 in a way may have made things a bit easier. I don't think sales were more challenging this year. With the restrictions that were in place because of the pandemic, I think it was easier to contact people by phone, as most people were at home and not as busy. Pearson added that the entire organization was very thankful to everyone for their support of the cash draw and the team, especially with what everyone has been going through over the course of the year. The MJHL regular season was halted and ultimately cancelled after just a quarter of the scheduled games have been played. As for the actual cash draw winner, this year's $15,000 prize went to Ray and Daryl Kalbaki of Nipawin, who have, in one form or another, been supportive of the hockey club right from the beginning. Ray Kalbaki told the Banner and Press that the past 30 plus years, the team has become entrenched within the community, and that is it's important to continue to back them to ensure they remain viable in the region. Daryl agreed and added that for a smaller hockey market such as Nipawin, supporting things like the cash draw is very important for ongoing sustainability. As for the complete list of cash draw winners, this year's recipients include the following. For the $500 winners, Kristen Cook, Don Schmall, Danny Bray, Craig Fedorowicz of Mountain Dental, Kevin Enns, Bob Durston, Cole McCaig, Gaynor Vivian, Connie Thorne, and Marga Murray Van Buskirk. The $1,000 winners include Chris Warwick, Robert Kunzelman, Jane McLaren, Ty Magato, and Brent Hunter. The 50-50 prize winner of $8,250 went to Chris Warwick. And the $15,000 grand prize winners, like I said, Ray and Daryl Kalbaki. Now, there's an article about the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce helping businesses move forward by Chuck Davidson of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO. Over the weekend, COVID-19 prevention orders loosened a little bit more for many industries, but not for all. And public health is aiming for another round of changes when current orders expire at 12:01 a.m. on March 26th. The good news is that, unlike in the fall, Manitoba's COVID-19 positive and presumptive case counts and test positivity rates continue to trend in the right direction. Meanwhile, another vaccine formulation received Health Canada approval last week, and the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, or NACI, recently determined that second doses in two-dose vaccine formulations can be delayed by as many as 4 months. The Manitoba government has set a goal to administer 20,000 jabs daily in order to keep up with the minimum 1.5 million doses it expects to receive from the federal government between April and June 2021. According to Joanna Botha, operational lead for the COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force, the province will make good on its commitment to provide a single shot to all Manitoba adults by May 18th of this year. This is excellent news because we understand that the past couple of months have been extremely challenging for many business owners, especially small and business-sized enterprises and those in the hospitality and personal services sectors. Amid the second wave and associated public health measures which closed all non-essential businesses and restricted others' operations due to gathering limits, Manitoba business owners have expressed a significant level of frustration. While we applaud the government of Manitoba and all Manitobans for efforts to reduce the spread of COVID from winter levels, there are some key steps that we can take to help businesses moving forward. There are three main issues that MCC members from across the province have been bringing to our attention regularly, and we're advocating with the province of Manitoba to address these concerns in the next round of COVID-19 prevention orders. Number one, take a regional approach to restrictions, specifically in the Prairie Mountain Health region, which as of March 7th has 14 active cases, and Southern Health, which has 34 active cases. We encourage public health to consider moving these regions to orange on the pandemic response system instead of red. Number two, remove the household-only table restrictions for restaurants. While we appreciate the recent increase to 50% capacity for restaurants, we urge the government to remove the same household restriction for these hospitality businesses. This restriction greatly limits the benefits of the reopening plan. And number three, inform Manitobans, in particular employers and business leaders, about proposed recovery plans and expected outcomes as vaccinations roll out. With the weekly increase in immunizations, we urge the province to outline a future-looking readiness plan with a focus on the hardest hit sectors and regions of the province. It's critical for Manitoba's employers to be aware of how the reopening will unfold in a step-by-step fashion and what that will look like in practical applications so they can plan and prepare. Again, it is imperative for Manitobans to continue their vigilance in following the fundamentals. There is hope on the horizon, but we are not back to normal yet. Boy, do we know that. Okay. And lastly, there's an article about moments in Riding Mountain, Small Winter Miracles by Ken Kingdon. I don't need to tell you this past February had some nasty cold temperatures. We happened to be in self-isolation in Onanol when the temperature dipped down to -40. These cold snaps make one appreciate the day-to-day miracles of modern life, such as central heating. I might also add the winter miracle that occurred when someone decided to add a shot of Bailey's to hot chocolate. However, while being tucked up warm and cozy in our house, I got to thinking about the chickadees feeding at the bird feeder. There is something miraculous about small-bodied animals surviving the coldest of the cold. As many of you recognize, the smaller a body is, the harder it is to keep warm. This is a function of physics, in which the surface area of an object increases at a lower rate as its mass increases. Huh? Well, I'm no physicist, so let's just say that small people tend to complain about the cold more than big people. This difference is even greater when you think of very small animals, which need to work even harder to keep warm. In previous articles, I have talked about strategies used by chickadees, including sleeping with a bunch of their friends jammed into a small cavity in a tree and going into torpor, or suspended animation, during the night. Their feathers act as great insulation, and they have almost flesh in their legs and feet, which means that they don't have to keep them very warm. They also feed on high energy foods such as insects, berries, and seeds. I have also been thinking about mice, voles, and shrews. Again, these are small-bodied animals, and staying warm in the winter is always a challenge. These species tend to avoid the coldest temperatures by staying under the snow, which provides some insulation. This sub-Nivean world stays at about -4 centigrade, which, while cool, provides enough warmth and protection over winter. There are some challenges, though, for these rodents and shrews. First of all, not all areas of the prairies get snow before it turns cold. Thus, a snow-free December likely leads to pretty high mortality rates among small-bodied mammals. And even if we get snow, we can get some crazy weather, such as heavy rainfalls, which can result in an ice layer building up on the snow. This can create an interesting situation where the exchange of air in the snow layer is really reduced and carbon dioxide begins to build up under the snow. Imagine dealing with 4 months of mouse farts, shrew body odor, and morning breath from voles, and you get the idea. Small mammals have to occasionally head for the surface just to get some fresh air. And then there are the other little small things that persist through the winter. One of the most obvious species are the snow fleas that show up on mild days in the winter. As soon as the temperatures get above zero, these insects magically appear along ski tracks or snowshoe trails. But where do they come from? In the cold weather, they spend their time in the leaf litter under the snow. As the temperature rises, they make their way to the surface. I'm not entirely sure what they're up to, whether they're eating or mating, but regardless, they do it in abundance. Another common invertebrate you can spot are spiders. There are few weirder sights on a winter's day than seeing a spider slowly walking along the surface of the snow. Likely having been blown from their winter hiding spot under bark, they don't move very fast or far, but the optimist in me hopes that they survive their winter walks. Unlike birds and mammals, though, these animals are cold-blooded and very tiny. How can they possibly survive the winter? Well, add to this the fact that most of these invertebrates are simply finding shelter under bark or in crevices and holes in a tree. I can't imagine that a tree offers much insulation value when it has been minus 30 for a week. For most organisms, the enemy is not the cold per se, but rather it's the ice that forms inside their bodies. When cellular water freezes, it creates sharp ice crystals, which puncture the cell wall. This leads to the death of the cell, and when bad enough, the death of the individual. For overwintering insects and spiders, they get around this issue by producing a protein which binds to any ice crystals. This prevents the ice from damaging the cells. It's a neat trick that cold-blooded organisms have developed, but one which science is interested in researching for such applications as de-icing airplane wings. I'll add one final winter miracle. By March, the sun is shining, the snow's melting, and spring begins to make her presence known. Thank goodness for small miracles indeed. And that wraps it up for this week's edition of Nipawin Banner and Press. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.